Once discovered the inherent weaknesses of the open system authentication and WEP, the IEEE kind of went back to the drawing board. It came back with a unified approach to wireless LAN security being needed. The IEEE and the Wi-Fi Alliance began developing some security solutions. The resulting standards that we use today are 802.11i and WPA and WPA2. WPA was introduced in 2003 by the Wi-Fi Alliance. It's a subset of the 802.11i standard. The design goal was to protect present and future wireless devices. It uses what's called TKIP, or the Temporal Key Integrity Protocol encryption. It's used again within WPA, and it uses a much longer key, 128 bits. This key is dynamically generated for each new packet, addressing the cardinal rule that was broken before: no repeatable pattern. It also introduced the idea of a pre-shared key authentication. After the access point was configured, the client device must have this same key value entered. The key is shared prior to communication taking place. It uses a passphrase to generate the encryption key and must be entered on each access point and wireless device in advance. It's not used for encryption. It simply serves as a starting point for the mathematically generating of the encryption keys themselves. However, the first attempt with WPA still had some vulnerabilities, mainly key management. The key sharing is done manually without security protection, so keys must be changed on a regular basis and keys must be disclosed to guest users. It uses passphrases. The pre-shared key passphrases of fewer than 20 characters are subject to cracking. Again, a small key space. By modern computer standards, very easy to guess and crack. Enter WPA2. It's the second generation of WPA. It was introduced in 2004 based on the final 802.11i standard. It replaces TKIP with the AES encryption, Advanced Encryption Standard. It supports both the pre-shared key and the 802.11x authentication. With AES CCMP encryption, it is the encryption protocol standard for WPA2. CCM is the algorithm providing the data security, and CBC MAC component of CCMP provides data integrity and authentication. It uses AES encryption and decryption. It should be performed in hardware because its computationally intensive nature. 802.1x authentication was originally developed for wired networks. It provides a greater degree of security by implementing port security. It blocks all traffic on a port-by-port basis until the client is fully authenticated. You can also choose to use EAP, the Extensible Authentication Protocol. It's a framework for transporting authentication protocols. It defines the message format and uses 4 types of packets: the request, the response, a success, or failure. Lightweight EAP, or LEAP, is a proprietary method developed by Cisco Systems. It requires mutual authentication used for wireless LAN encryption using a Cisco client software. It can be vulnerable to specific types of attacks and is no longer recommended to be used by Cisco. PEAP, or Protected Extensible Authentication Protocols, simplifies the deployment of 802.1x by using Microsoft Windows logins and passwords. It creates an encrypted channel between the client and authentication server. You are expected to successfully navigate the Security Plus examination to know these different combinations of WEP, WPA, WPA2, their encryption standards, the type of authentication used, and the level of security that each provide. Some other areas to consider when it comes to wireless LANs and security are antenna placement. You want to locate it near the center of a coverage area and place high on a wall to reduce the signal obstructions and obviously to deter theft. Power level controls. Some access points allow adjustment of the power level at which the LAN transmit. Reducing power allows less signal to reach outside the intended area. With organizations becoming increasingly concerned about the existence of rogue access points, there are tools that can be used like rogue access point discovery tools. Security personnel can manually audit airwaves using a wireless protocol analyzer and continuously monitor the RF airspace using a wireless probe. Some of the wireless probes available are wireless device probes and desktop probes. The wireless device probes can probe access points and dedicated probes. Wireless virtual LANs or wireless VLANs also help organizations set up a segregated infrastructure. For instance, one for employee access and another for guest access. It can be configured in one of two ways, depending on which device separates and directs the packets to the different networks.